If you don't live under a rock, you probably know about the interesting dumpling squishy trend. These are small, soft, collectible toys that people love to squeeze, collect, and trade. There are tons of videos of influencers opening these dumpling packages and going crazy. Actually, we can say that the whole squishy scene has gone viral. We can see the butter squishy and the cheese squishy often, and many other squishies. We can literally say that TikTok has become SquishTok. And I'm not even kidding here. Just open TikTok and see for yourself. And since this YouTube is about vintage and reselling there, you probably know what's awaiting us in this video. We're going to analyze this trend and see how profitable it can be and if it's worth the try. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So this trend is here with us for a few weeks now and it isn't stopping. It's actually getting bigger and bigger. If you saw my video about reselling Lavabo, then you're probably familiar with this pattern. Simply when there is a trend like this, you want to use it to your advantage and make some money. So how did these little squishies become so popular in the first place? A big reason is social media. Videos of people unboxing dumpling squishies started getting millions of views on TikTok, especially because of the mystery element. People love watching others open surprise packages and react to what they get. Another reason is how collectible they are. Some designs are much harder to find than others, which creates a sense of rarity and makes people want to keep buying more. The more difficult a squishy is to get, the more valuable it becomes in the eyes of collectors. Once the trend started gaining momentum, more and more people wanted to join in. Collectors, casual buyers, and even resellers began looking for them, which increased the demand even further. And as we've seen with many trends before, when demand goes up faster than supply, prices start to rise. That's where platforms like Vinted come into the story. Now, let's talk about the prices because this is where things get really interesting. In stores, dumpling squishies are usually sold for just a few dollars or euros, depending on where you buy them. They're meant to be affordable, collectible toys, not expensive. But when we look at resale platforms like Vinted, the situation can be very different. Some resellers list rare or highly sought after squishies for 2, 3, or even several times their original price. The reason is simple: demand. If a certain design is difficult to find or no longer available in stores, collectors may be willing to pay much more to complete their collection. If you find this video incredibly interesting, you can give me a subscribe because that's going to support me the most. Of course, not every listing actually sells at these higher prices. Anyone can set a high price, but whether someone is willing to pay it is another question. Still, it's clear that some people are trying to turn this trend into a business by buying squishies early and reselling them for profit. And when you compare the original retail price with some of the listings on Vinted, it's easy to see why the resale market has become such a big part of this trend. At this point, you might be wondering, why are some dumpling squishies worth so much more than others? So the answer comes down to rarity. Just like with trading cards, sneakers, or other collectibles, not every dumpling squishy is equally easy to find. Some designs are produced in large numbers and can be found almost everywhere. Others appear much less frequently, making them harder to get. Because most dumpling squishies are sold in mystery packaging, buyers don't exactly know what they're getting before opening the box. That means finding a rare one often comes down to luck. And that's where the collecting aspect becomes important. Many collectors aren't satisfied with owning just 1 or 2 squishies. They want to complete entire sets, and sometimes they're only missing one specific design. When a collector is missing the last piece, they may be willing to pay a premium rather than continue buying mystery packs and hoping to get lucky. Because sometimes it can be more profitable to just buy the exact one squishy for a higher price than buying many packages and hoping to get it. Social media also plays a huge role in determining what's considered rare. Sometimes a particular squishy becomes popular because influencers show it in their videos or because collectors start talking about it online. Suddenly everyone wants the same design and demand skyrockets. What's interesting is that rarity isn't always about how many exist. Sometimes a squishy becomes valuable simply because people believe it's special or because it has become trendy within the community. This creates a cycle. The more people talk about a certain squishy, the more desirable it becomes. The more desirable it becomes, the higher the resale prices go. And the higher the prices go, the more attention it gets. And that's why dumpling squishies end up being sold for several times their original retail price, even though they started out as inexpensive toys. In many ways, people aren't just buying a squishy anymore, they're buying rarity, exclusivity, and the feeling of owning something that other collectors want. So what do I personally think about this whole trend? Honestly, I don't think there's anything wrong with collecting dumpling squishies. People have always collected things, whether it was trading cards, figures, sneakers, or pretty much anything else. At the end of the day, it's just a hobby that a lot of people enjoy. The same goes for reselling. I don't think reselling toys is automatically a bad thing. If someone buys an item and later sells it for more because demand has increased, that's just how supply and demand works. That being said, I can also understand why some people get frustrated. When people start buying large amounts of a product just to resell it for a profit, it becomes much harder for regular collectors to find those items at their original price. And when I was looking through some of the listings on Vinted, I noticed that some prices seem a little crazy. Of course, sellers can ask for whatever price they want, but whether those items actually sell for that amount is a completely different story. In my opinion, the buyers are the ones who ultimately decide the market. If nobody is willing to pay a certain price, then that price won't last for very long. But as long as people keep buying rare squishies for higher and higher amounts, resellers will continue to list them at those prices. I'm also really curious to see what happens in the future. Right now, dumpling squishies are incredibly popular, but we've seen many internet trends come and go over the years. Some collectibles remain valuable for a long time, such as Pokemon cards, while others lose most of their hype once people move on to the next big thing. For example, Labubu dolls, like almost no one remembers Labubu dolls now. So personally, I think collecting them is completely fine and reselling them is understandable to a certain extent. The real question is whether this trend will still be around a year from now or if it's just another short-lived social media craze. In my opinion, this trend is not going to last long. But that's just my opinion. What do you think? Is reselling dumpling squishies a smart way to make money, or has the trend gone too far? Let me know in the comments below and see you in the next video.